If you need more money, I have a question for you. Does the government need more money? Considering they have billions upon billions upon billions of dollars coming in, we all know that they have a severe problem, and it's that the government overspends. You give them $100 billion budget, and they're going to spend $150 billion. But do you realize that the government is just filled with people? It's just full of people that have been placed there, obviously by others, by a vote, but they're just like you and I. They have issues and problems, and so we know the government doesn't need more money. Actually, what they need to do is control their spending. But I want to go through a thought experiment with you. What if you got promoted tomorrow to become the CEO of a company? And at first you thought it was an honorable position, but then you come to find out it was actually, somebody's actually just kind of filling a spot because the company that's a $1 billion a year company is going under. And so you go in and you look at the spreadsheets and you start noticing that y'all are losing $200 million per year. What would you then do as the CEO to try to make the company profitable? Would you look at debts that maybe they didn't need, like certain assets, and say, we really don't need those assets, so let's let this go? Would you sell off parts of the company that were profitable to get you out of that $200 million a year debt? Would you let some people go that were overpaid? What would you do to control the expenses of a company that's losing $200 million a year instead of being profitable? You'd make some radical changes. Now, what then is to stop you from becoming the CEO of your own life? What drastic and hard measures are you willing to take? How unpopular are you willing to be to get control of your finances? There are times that we're totally in a deficit and we get in a strained point where the car is broken down, we don't have food, etc. I am not referring to that kind of time. I'm just talking about regular discomfort and disappointment with life, that, I just don't have enough resources. If you find yourself in that boat, why not try tackling discipline first? Why not tighten the belt and see what can happen? Can you imagine on a $1 billion a year company, if you did tighten the belt? Usually what happens is they're having to make projections. You don't know exactly how much a department is making, because once you get into tracking tens of millions of dollars at a time over lots of different locations and departments, you can't quite keep track of everything. It is very, very difficult. And so a lot of times what happens is when they begin to tighten these sectors down and implement changes, all of a sudden a company that was losing $200 million a year will turn around and all of a sudden have a surplus of $100 million a year. So why not look through your life, evaluate the things that you think these are absolutely necessary, and go, could I cut back on that just a little bit? So I remember counseling a man years ago at this point. It's been about 20 years ago. And he came to me with some problems. And so we begin to talk about his budget. And then he tells me he was in an expensive house. In today's terms, it would have been about $1.5 million house. And I'm like, you have financial problems? No, it's not actually that you have financial problems. It's actually that you have spending issues. If you can't control your budget in that regard, it doesn't matter how much money you make, you're always going to spend yourself into the hole.